lemmatizer. Okay, so I'd like you to check yung lemmatizer instead of quarter stemmer. Ayan. Check natin yung lemmatization o lemmatizer. Language is in English. And by the way, please do not select this. Do not normalize your data kapag hindi siya English lahat. Pag may mga Tagalog sa dataset nyo, huwag kayong mag-lemmatize. Magkakagulo yung inyong dataset. So, do not normalize the data. Raw data ang treatment natin. So, pareho lang din ito sa ginagawa natin sa quantitative data analysis. Sa standardize tayo or nagro-raw data tayo. So, in this case, nagno-normalize tayo. Hindi raw data ang gagamitin natin. Paano tayo nagno-normalize? Dito sa LemmaGen, for example, pag sinasabi nating opening, so pag nagle-lemmatize tayo, ino-normalize niya yan, that will be treated as one word, open. Diba? So, unlike kung hindi tayo naka-normalize, so magkakaroon ng separate entry yung opening, open, at saka opened na past tense. So, yan yung proseso ng ating lemmatization. So, the lemmatization will simply tell the software na kapag may mga ganitong instances, you treat these words as one or as one token. Okay po tayo? So, yun po yung purpose ng normalization, lemmatization. Alright. Ang next nating process of process text is yung tinatawag nating filtering. Dito tayo mas sanay. Okay, ang pinakauna nating filtering is yung stop words. Ang ibig sabihin ng stop words ay we're telling the software na kapag may ganitong word sa dataset, huwag niyong isama. Yan po ibig sabihin ng stop words. Kaya po, nag-send ako sa inyo sa ating chat box ng stop words list. Okay, so that's the universal list of stop words. So ito yung common na mga words sa text analysis. So if you notice, nasa chat box po natin yung ating stopwords.txt. So I'd like you to download it and upload the stopwords list here in the stopwords preprocessor. Okay, so paano natin siya i-upload? Dito sa ayan, so yan po yung itsura ng stopwords, no? May mga dinadagdag na po ako diyan, like for example, galing po pala ako sa isang pwede po pa-delete ng Reason. Reason kasi is pangalan ng si Reason and Bradbury yung author. At saka si Bradbury. Yun. Dinagdagan ko siya. Yung stopwords ay pwede nating dagdagan. Pwede nating bawasan. Sa tingin nyo, ang affect ay importante sa inyong analysis, tanggalin natin yung affect. Diyan, yung according. Pag sa tingin nyo ay importante yan, ay tanggalin natin siya sa ating stopwords. So, very easy lang. Go to the stopwords list and then remove or add words there sa ating listahan para iti-treat siya ng ating software according to how you want the software to treat it. So kapag sinama natin sa ating stopwords, ibig sabihin, hindi niya bibilangin yon. Okay? So exit tayo sa stopwords. Tapos upload natin sa stopwords sa ating filtering preprocessor. Okay? So X natin sa stopwords. Okay? And then punta tayo doon sa filtering. Okay? Okay. So dyan sa filtering, may stopwords, may English, may none, at saka yung folder. Ayan ulit. Sa folder at may 3 dots. Click natin yung folder at 3 dots. Okay. And then locate the stopwords. Saan natin sinave si stopwords? Ayan. Nandyan si stopwords. And then highlight si stopwords and then click open. Okay. So, ibig sabihin yan ngayon, na-load na natin sa software yung mga words na ayaw nating bilangin or sinasabihan na natin sa software na wag mong bilangin or isama sa analysis yan. Next filtering na pwede natin gamitin is yung numbers. Okay? So, you can check the number clustering. Connect distances to hierarchical clustering. There. Okay? Alright. So, we expect na naka-cluster itong mga 31 tokens natin in our hierarchical clustering. You double-click hierarchical clustering And let's see the results. Alright. So yan po yung ating magiging itsura ng hierarchical cluster. Pero may mga adjustments tayong gagawin. Sa linkage, for example, sa upper left, you can use wards. Okay, ward. And then from the annotations, instead of enumeration, like we can use the words or the exact words. Sige. Words. Alright. Okay. So from there, makikita natin yung arrangement ng words natin in a clusters in a dendrogram. Okay, so ito yung itsura ng dendrogram. So we can put colors sa ating clusters. So for example, you can move, for example, from 0 sa taas. You can move any point from 0 to 1. Okay, galawin natin, i-drag natin siya. Okay, ayun. So, move pa natin. Okay. Pwede natin i-adjust yung ating clusters. For example, move to the left natin ulit, ma'am. So, yan, tatlong clusters. So, what about if we move further? So, meron kang 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters or 3 clusters. So, examine yung maigi yung nirekomenda niyang clusters. Okay? May sense ba ang clustering na nirekomenda niya sa inyo? Pag wala pong sense, i-try natin i-move yung ating how do you call that? Yung bar, try to move the bar. So for example, kapag hiniwalay niya yung education, school, university student sa project, development, does it make more sense? Or kapag galawin pa natin, dagdagan pa natin, baba pa natin, will it make better sense kapag ganun ang clustering? So it's up to you. Depende na sa inyong conceptualization ngayon. So that is basically now the returning themes of your literature review. So for example, you decided na ganito po ang clustering dapat. So your literature review discussion will be composed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 themes because you will be talking about the theme of education, school, university student. Number 2, develop, project, development, work, program, process. Number 3, time, experience, knowledge, and learning. So these are all, kapag gumagawa tayo ng thematic analysis, these are all codes na pinagsasama-sama natin into themes because these words, when grouped together, pertain sa particular concept na related doon sa ating purpose of literature review or purpose of analysis. So in this case, you can now decide on the encompassing term to talk about each of these clusters and discuss each of these clusters in your results or in your report. Okay, so that is one example of the visualization process or one of the visualization options. Visualization meaning to say to visualize the themes or the emerging concepts from your data set. Questions so far? We can exit this one and let's go back to the workflow. Are there questions so far? Violent reactions, objections to the process, or anything? May
Sir,
mga kasama.
nada-download po ba yung ano?
Yep.
Nada-download po itong mga results?
Sige po. Balikan natin si hierarchical cluster. Open natin si hierarchical cluster ulit. And then, tingnan natin sa lower left portion ng hierarchical cluster results. Double click. Meron diyang save option. Yan, malapit sa question mark sa lower left. Lowermost left. Yan. Pwede niyo siyang i-save in PDF or in PNG. Yan. PNG or PDF. Okay, so pwede niyo siyang i-save and then as is mo siyang ilagay sa inyong report. Good job. Other questions? Okay, so that's one example of the visualization. Sana po ay nasundan. Sana po ay pag may mga questions or clarifications, feel free to raise them. The next thing that I'd like to, let's just limit to 2 visualizations or 3 visualizations. Sabihin na, gawin natin 3. Okay, another visualization that we can do is the so-called multidimensional scaling. Ang multidimensional scaling is still clustering Pero, ang ginagawa natin dito ay pina-plot natin siya as points in a two-dimensional space. Okay? So, let's try to see the multidimensional scaling. Ang multidimensional scaling, you can decide as to how many clusters you would like to do. So, in this case, let's start from the document embedding. Ito kasi nauuna si yung Ara o excited.
Sorry,
Exit
sir.
tayo dyan.
Na-excite.
Doon ba't parang excited masyado? Doon sa document embedding. Ito yun. Parang, parang sinasabi ni Ma'am Ara, bilisan mo sir, bilisan mo sir. Ay, nako.
Nakakatuwa sir kasi sa clustering pa lang ang ganda na no po niya. At saka mahirap po talaga yung mag-thematize na manually.
Correct. Ayun yung iniiwasan na natin. Sinisave na natin ng siguro isang buwan din na trabaho yung natuloy-tuloy pag ginawa natin
Opo.
manually, di ba? Kahit sabihin natin 10
Yes,
yung
sir.
documents mo, mahirap din yun na isa-isahin mo kaya yung bawat sentence. Next na gagawin natin, another
Kaya na-amaze.
visualization option.
Sige po.
Another visualization option. So from document embedding, doon tayo kumonek sa document embedding, wag sa hierarchical cluster. Okay? From document embedding, you proceed with you use the k-means, dadaan natin siya sa k-means. Ang k-means ay pwede nating i-select how many clusters. K-means. K as in kappa. Ayan, k-means. Alright. Okay. If you know, I don't know if you have experience doing factor analysis. Sa factor analysis, we can decide as to how many factor MDS. So, ito na yun, Ma'am Ara. MDS na tayo or the multidimensional scaling. Alright. So, in the multidimensional scaling, tingnan natin ang itsura ng ating MDS. Sabi natin 8 clusters, ano? So, double click the MDS. Ayan. Pwede natin siyang iliitan konti. Drag or zoom in, zoom out. Okay. Dito sa color, pwede natin siyang
Ayaw po sir, hindi po na maliit.
hindi mo siya maliitan. Sige lang, okay lang. Dito sa
Opo.
color, sa attributes natin, pwede natin siyang color according to cluster para mas madali natin siyang ma-distinguish. Okay? So, imagine we have colors or clusters 1 to 8 and yan po yung nakukuha natin. Medyo kalat na po, no? And then perhaps we can use the shape according to cluster. So, aside from color, okay? And then dun sa label, lagyan natin ng words. Okay. Click natin yung words. Okay. So, yun po yung itsura ng ating MDS. Pero try natin siyang babaan yung number of clusters. Baka masyadong makalat dahil ang dami ng clusters na hiningi ni Ma'am Ara. No? Balikan natin doon sa k-means. Babaan natin siya ng 4 or 3. Sige daw. Close muna natin yan. At balikan natin si k-means. Try natin yung 4. 4 clusters lang. Sige. Try to 4 clusters and then hindi, okay na. Naka-3 lang po yan, Ma'am Ara. Kahit wag mo nang galawin yung part na yan, dito na lang yan. Diyan po. Diyan. Okay, 4. Correct na po yan. Okay, and then exit po.
Sige.
Okay, and then
Thank
tignan
you.
natin yung MDS. Ayan. So, may 4 na clusters. Tingnan natin anong itsura. So, pwede nyo i-highlight. Okay, so naka-words na siya. Ayan. So, tingnan natin yung clusters dito. So, may cluster on social, public, people, community, group na connected. Do you think it makes sense? Diba? So, nandyan. So, meron din ditong university,
Yes,
school,
sir.
student,
Ano po?
education, learning, knowledge, and experience. They are connected. Okay, so that's one cluster also. University, school, student, education, learning, knowledge. Okay, we have also project, development, develop, which connects to program as part of the other cluster. Okay? So, may mga iba-iba sa gilid-gilid na perhaps pagdadagdagan natin yung word sa word cloud natin. selection ay mabubuo into another cluster. Pero in this case, perhaps you can already see na support, provide, care, and health is also one cluster, right? And kasama niya pala ang service. Although service ay humiwalay, hindi siya connect, pero they are belonging to, or they belong to one particular cluster. So health care, provide, support, and service belongs to one cluster together with work process, but only process connects to program, which connects to project development, or project development. Does this make sense sa inyo sa IP group? How do you appraise these results of the MDS? Does this make any sense to you?
Okay,
Does does this
anyone po
clustering?
from
Yeah.
the group gusto pong hanap lang ako sir nung ka-group ko kahapon. I think nandito po si Sir Joshua.
Yeah, what do you think? Does this make sense? If walang sense, then adjust natin yung word cloud. Dagdagan, bawasan, etc. O yung K-means, pwede nating
I think sir
i-dagdagan.
okay po siya.
Mm-mm.
Kaya lang ang problema sir parang nawala yung indigenous pero
Nandiyan ang
siguro po yung
indigenous.
mga
Nandiyan
service
ang indigenous. Opo.
ito po siya.
Oo po. Nandiyan si indigenous. The same siya sa cluster ng community, social,
Kahit
public,
wala
and
siya
care.
sa cluster po.
Oh, kasama siya sa cluster. Tinan mo yung kulay at
Okay.
saka yung ano. Except
Hindi
that
lang po
hindi
nakaano yung life pala.
manifest. So marami kang pwedeng analysis dito. Nandiyan si indigenous, nag-aaral ka ng indigenous, pero masyado mong hiniwalay si idea of indigenous to community, di ba? So nahiwalay, parang indigenous kasama ba talaga sa study niyo si indigenous kapag nagpo-community study or nagpo-public or nagso-social? O sinabi natin social welfare, kasama ba si indigenous? So para na-disconnect si indigenous sa ating graph. So that's perhaps yung nakikita ng ating analysis na based on the characteristics of how we look at indigenous or how we study indigenous based on the 384 embeddings, then the indigenous, although it belongs to one cluster as community, but it's not that or the relationship is not that visible or manifest with the community. So there are analysis already that you can create based on that AMDS. All right,
Okay, sir.
does this make sense?
Yes, sir. Okay po siya.
Ma'am Emeline Bugayong. Okay, so that's another way of visualizing it. You can choose whether the hierarchical cluster to report or this one to report. Okay, exit natin. I can use, instead of MDS, you can connect from K-means. Okay, connect from K-means. This is, no. Kapag nagko-connect tayo, doon tayo sa harap connect, huwag sa likod. Kapag likod, ibig sabihin sundot yan. Kapag sa harap, yan po yung ating towards. Okay? Alright, so connect tayo sa TSNE, T-SNE, Tango, T as in T, Tango, dash SNE, or the TSNE. There you go. TSNE is another visualization similar to MDS, and we can see, for example, our TSNE result. Can you open it? Double click the TSNE. Okay, so similar. So you can highlight color, same color should be by cluster. So sa attributes natin, sa left side, color should be by cluster. Naghang yata si ma'am. Ayan, cluster. Okay. Pwede rin shape, cluster. And then label is words. Okay, so what do you think is more, what do you think for you is more meaningful and more beautiful to report or to include in your report? This one or the MDS? So it's up to you. Or the hierarchical cluster. So saan ba ang mas klaro sa inyo na relationship? Okay? So yun yung pwede nating pagdidesisyonan. Okay? So these are
Sir,
the
may
visual, yeah.
question po.
Mm-mm.
Isa lang po yung kailangan.
Opo,
If
kasi ano
we are
naman
going
yung
to write
order.
literature review, sir.
Oo,
Pa isa
kasi
lang.
the same analysis lang naman siya eh. Mamili ka lang.
Opo.
Para siyang doon sa ating kapag na tayo ay nag-structural equation model. 'Di ba hindi naman natin i-report lahat ng mga lalo na kapag hindi good ang fit, 'di ba? Namimili tayo ng goodness of fit test na i-report. So parang ganito din. Ano yung mga pinaka favorable sa iyo na i-discuss na results? So yun yung ating i-report. So kapag komportable ka sa hierarchical cluster, then report the hierarchical cluster. So yun, wag nagdamihan. Pare-pareho lang yun. Sige. Okay, so let's move on. By the way, questions. These are so far the three visualizations that you can use in your analysis. So again, kahit literature review pa lang, you can use this software already because the literature is composed of textual data. So pag textual data, you can use the text package of your Orange software. Okay, we can close this and maybe we can entertain questions before we proceed to the next part. Questions so far? And now you have already the workflow. And this one is the workflow that you can attach in your report or in your journal as a supplementary part. Or you can include this in the methods section. So in the methods, you will say na I use Orange software to process the data and the workflow is described in figure blah. This one is already the figure for the workflow. And later we will add more to this. Question so far, what do you think? Maybe I can ask you what will work, what may not work about this. Can we get your what do you think? What do you think? What will work? What may not work? Anyone? May kasama pa ba kami ni Ma'am Ara?
Hello po. Question or
What will work? What may not work?
sir, tawag na lang
Meron
po. Ayun po. Okay, can we have ano po, Sir Dan? Ay. Okay, let's have Sir Dan. Nandyan ka po.
Nagsusulat na si Sir Dan ng article.
Yes.
Bukas may publication na yun siya. Kaya kabili si Sir Dan. Si Sir Dan Carlo.
Ayun, Sir John
Hindi na siya
Carlo.
naririnig. Nagsasalita pala si Sir Dan.
Naririnig niyo po ba ako?
Yes po, sir. Yes po, sir.
Hello po.
Yes, sir. Yes po. Naririnig ka po.
Question ko lang.
Yes po, sir.
Pwede po bang, paano po ba yung pag-upload ng data dun sa pwede ba yung pag nagpa-survey, pipicturean lang yung survey tapos i-save sa computer, ganun lang ba yun? I-scan
Survey, ibig
i-scan mo
sabihin,
yung mga date, yung mga survey form tapos i-save mo. Okay na po ba? Mababasa
hindi
po ba
po.
ng software nito?
Hindi po. Talagang pre-process. Ano ba yung survey natin? Quantitative survey po ba? Yung pang mamimili sila, mag-a-agree sila, ganun po ba? Or may part na magsusulat sila?
Halimbawa po yung face-to-face na magpa-survey kami
Interview.
sir.
Oo.
Tapos
I-encode po
magpapafill up
talaga
kami
natin, sir. Dadaan sa talaga sa
ba
encoding
namin nila
process.
nila pipicturean lang ba namin yun? O ita-type namin yung isa-isa din yung sagot nila.
Ita-type nyo pa rin po talaga isa-isa yung sagot.
Akala ko pipicturean ko lang tapos sabi kasi
Hindi po.
sabi niyo kanina po,
Yung
nakakapagdala
image,
sila ng
opo.
picture, yung image.
Hindi po. Ibang processing po yun.
Survey form
Halimbawa,
ba yun?
iba po yun. Picture na mukha mo, picture na mukha niya. That's part of the photo voice process. Hindi yung picture ng data.
Okay.
Hindi yun ibig kong sabihin. Kapag data, talagang we process it according to kung ano yung appropriate.
Okay. Thank you po.
Pero may mga readers naman na from PDF, no? Picturean mo siya tapos in PDF form, nadidetect naman na picturean mo lang tapos PDF, tapos run mo yung PDF, convert mo siya using Acrobat into text data. Although may mga hindi lang siguro magtutugma, pero may paraan na rin naman na Sir John kapag ganun. Picturean mo yung sagot and then run mo siya using Acrobat. Ang Acrobat can convert or can export PDF into text.
Kasi kung halimbawa po gagawa ka ng research na ang participants mo ay 300, gano'n, 200.
Opo. So, scan mo lang.
Kung isusulat mo isa-isa yung sagot nila, matagal.
Correct. Opo.
Kung picture-picturean ko lang, medyo at least mas mabilis. Pwede pala naman pala po.
Ayan, wala pang ganong feature. Yan, kailangan pa nating imano-mano pag ganong part.
Thank you po, sir.
Sige. Tamad na po mga tamad na. Sir Beltran, tamad na po. Hindi naman, ang tawag diyan is working smart rather than working hard. Kung may paraan naman na mapabilis, ma-automate, then let's grab that. Yeah, I agree. Yung PDF, hindi naman accurate talaga. Even if ang PDF mo is computer generated na yung text, hindi pa rin accurate minsan. Lalo na siguro kapag sulat kamay yung ating PDF. Yun yung madidetect. Yung cursive. Alright.
Hindi naman po siguro tamad po.
Oo.
Kasi lahat naman tayo nag-automate. Kagaya itong ginagawa natin is automated din para mapadali.
Opo. Naghahanap lang ng paraan na
Mali
mapapabilis.
siguro yung
Kung may paraan.
editor.
Okay. Sige po. Ayan. Are there other questions? Other things that you'd like to ask or raise? Ma'am Ara, are we going to have a quick health break or we continue?
Sige po, kahit 5 minutes, sir. May health
Sige
break
po.
po.
Alright. Health break for 5 minutes. Let's get back at 10:09. Enjoy
Thank
the
you po,
health
sir.
break.
Hindi.
Para help. Ma'am, may
Yes,
message ako
ma'am.
sa'yo. May message ako sa'yo.
Okay.
Po ay 30 na words. Tapos po, using din sa distances, ito po yung naging hierarchy niya, na clustering. Sinet ko na lang po na na maging ilan nga bang cluster. Daming cluster po actually. Tapos
Pwede natin i-move
doon
yan,
po,
sir.
yes po ma'am, sir.
Pwede natin i-move yung bar papa-akyat konti. Wala na bang mas may sense or akyat mo siya?
Yan po sir.
Mas may sense ba pag
Bali, yan po. Yung pong sa K-means ko yata sir, ang ginawa ko pong
sige.
lang.
Pero you can use this sa linkage, don't forget, gamitin natin yung word sa linkage sa upper left. After yung sa linkage, instead of average, let's use word.
Okay.
And then
So, word.
And then yung enumeration natin, gawin nating words para kita nyo yung mismong words sa ating clusters. Yan. Opo.
Kung susundin ko yung sa naging 5 na ba?
Okay.
Sura niya.
Sa
Tapos
wireless
po,
API
okay.
Okay.
Sir?
Yep, okay lang po. Minabasa ko lang. No?
Ayun po.
So,
So,
nag-combine
pakita po
tayo.
ba, sir, yung sa MDS?
Yeah, sige po. Proceed niya sa MDS.
So, yung sa MDS naman. So, mas kita po yung ano niya, relationship.
So, mas okay kayo mas comfortable kayo sa MDS na i-report.
Opo. Bali, ginawa ko rin po na varying yung size para ma-visualize din po yung number of words. So, ang connected po talaga ay yung mismong community. Then, naka-cluster din po yung sa department. So, nandyan yung, government system department. Tapos, scattered po along the way yung ano, yung sa academe at saka sa skills. So, nandyan po yung school, academic, teaching, teacher, education. May naligaw po na mathematics. Hindi ko alam kung bakit.
Pero
So, hindi
na-try
naman
niyo
po.
yung 3 clusters.
3 clusters po.
Na-try niyo siya mag 3 clusters.
Try ko po, sir.
Baka mas may sense pag 3 cluster na siya.
Sa fixed po yun, sir. Ano?
Pwede po. Ayan. Tingnan natin.
Yan po.
Group C, community resident. Yeah, better. 4 clusters.
Yep.
Sige. Okay, and then what about the TISNE? So you have decided to show the MDS given this data. Okay.
So sa TISNE po, ito po yung naging itsura niya.
Pareho daw.
Ay, sorry.
And then you know how to save it. Lower left, my disk icon. That's where you can save.
Yeah, po.
That's how you can save it. All right. What about the next? Thank you, Sir Gerald, for sharing this. Congratulations. What do you think, Sir
Ganun po, sir.
Gerald? What will work? What will not work? What may not work? Sa tingin mo?
Actually, sir, natuwa ako. Actually, shinare ko na rin sa kasama ko dito sa office kanina. Natuwa rin siya nung nakita niya na ganun kasi yung imagining na gagawa nung sa word count mismo na manual. Ilang tao yung kailangan mo ito. Ano lang siya, using the app, makukuha na po siya. Then, pwede pang i-extend yung tawag dito, yung processing natin na mas makakuha pa tayo ng mas meaningful na data.
Sige. Who's going to present next? Any volunteer?
Para ano lang.
Sige po.
And then I actually had like 24 documents from 2016 to 2023 downloaded from Science Direct po.
Nice. Sige.
So I'll show po the data table po ba? Or sorry po. Asan na ba ako? Data table. So I actually po included 30 words po dito. I actually excluded words under below 200 in frequency po. So I only included 200 words and above.
Yeah.
Tapos po these are hierarchical na lang po.
Sa tingin mo yung cluster niya, does it make sense?
Yes po, Doc. Actually po siya mas madali ko siyang magagawan later ng
kaysa sa iba.
Apo, kasi kitang-kita po yung relationship ng mga words. So, I initially look at 4 clusters. Pero tinignan ko din po yung 8 clusters kanina, pero medyo parang magulo. So, so 4 clusters po.
Pero mas pabor sa'yo na hierarchical cluster ang i-report mo?
Yes po, sir. Kasi parang na siya dito. Parang mas maganda na po siyang interpret later.
Nice.
Although, yung naman po, MDS, okay din naman po. Kasi kitang-kita din po yung mga relationship like assessment, evaluation, analysis, model process. Then we have here graduate, university, teaching,
Which connects to
education.
education curriculum.
Yes po.
And teaching. Okay.
Yes po. So,
Sige.
thank you po. Yun lang po.
Alright. Full automation. If you notice, it's the software that does everything. But in qualitative research, it may not be that how do you call that, marketable to journals if the process is everything is automation because of the principle of reflexivity in qualitative research. Reflexivity means to interact with the data. So in that case, there is a need to have some intervention by the researcher in the conceptualization process or in the analysis of the data. So this is how we attempt to balance full automation
Recording in
and
progress.
full manual. So full manual is basically coding everything manually. Full automation is the use of the hierarchical cluster, MDS, and TSNE to do the thematic analysis and draw the clusters or visualize the clusters. So let's try to balance full manual and full automation. If you notice, in your hierarchical cluster, for example, the case of Sir Dan, there are perhaps words there that may not be that clear to you as to the relationship with the other words. And there is a need for us to revisit our corpus to check exactly the context as to which or how these words were spoken or mentioned in the text. This is similar to reading the entire text, except that this is a more directed reading or this is a more directed examination of the corpus because you start with the keywords and explore or locate how the keyword is being mentioned in your corpus. So that is how we try to balance automation and manual. We will do manual checking of how the words were spoken in the text or mentioned in the text to get the true context of the word in our corpus. So how do we do that? There are two ways. Let's start with the concordance. Concordance is a process of looking at what words come before and after the keyword. So how do we do the concordance? We get the concordance from the pre-processed text. Okay, from the pre-processed text, we will connect it to the concordance widget. So pre-processed text, connect to concordance. Hold on. Okay, you click concordance. Okay, corpus to corpus. Okay, that's all right. Click OK. Okay, so let's open concordance. This is how your concordance looks like. Double click concordance.
Nakikita na po, sir. Naglalag po yata ako.
Ay, okay po. Nakikita na po. Pa-double click ng concordance, ma'am. Na-double click niyo na po. Pa-share ng buong screen, ma'am. Kasi pag nag-pop up, pwede nyo i-minimize ito, yung workflow, para lumabas yung concordance.
Ito na po ba yun?
Wala. Workflow lang yung nakikita ko.
Naglag. Wait lang, sir. Ulit.
Sigura ng concordance, no? Sa left side, meron tayong makikita dyan number of words. Okay, so you can set number of words from 1 to 10. Okay, so ang number of words will tell the software how many words would you like to see before and after your query word. Okay, so you can set it to 10 to maximize it. Meaning to say, you want to see 10 words before the word or the query word and 10 words after the query word. Okay, so you put there 10. Okay, and then you start with the query. Ano ba yung mga keywords natin kanina, Ma'am Ara, sa ating clusters? Can you give me one? Isa
May
lang.
community, sir. Community po.
Okay. You can put there query community. Community. Okay, so yan po ang mga instances sa ating dataset na kung saan nabanggit yung salitang community. This is the fastest way of going through the data, except the limitation that it can only go to one document at a time. So it will not scavenge the entire data set and look for all the documents at once. Here in the concordance, you can input the query word or the input the query keyword, set the number of words before and after it, and go through each document. But there is one favorable thing in the concordance. It groups together tuloy-tuloy yung mga words and occurrences in a particular document. For example, can you click anywhere here in dyan, anywhere. Oh, ibig sabihin yan, lahat ng iyan ay nasa isang document lamang. So, for example, yan, yung kinlik natin kanina, sige ma'am, i-click natin ulit. Yan. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng na-highlight ay nasa isang document lang yan. Nasa isang article lang yan. Pag magbabrowse ka sa pababa, okay, makikita natin na may mga natitira. So for example, i-click mo yung next. Yan. So ibig sabihin isang article ulit yan. Nandyan, makikita mo lahat ng occurrences ng salitang community. So anong gamit ng concordance? From concordance, you will see right away the context in which the words were mentioned in the text. For example, here, innovation and impacts in community university engagement. So may mga community engagement, community-based and university-based program, community-based network, community level. So these are the words or the instances, or we call it sections in the document, wherein this word community is being mentioned. So what can it give us? It gives us a quick glance of the documents in which the query word is being mentioned. So that is a very helpful tool, because if we lost in our discussion, if we get lost in our discussion, there are words perhaps that we have difficulty explaining, then we can use the concordance and have a quick look at how the word is being mentioned in the text. That's one. But you know the limitation of concordance. It is fast, but it is very surface level, because it can only give us a quick look at that instance or that section in the document where it is mentioned. Another limitation of concordance is it looks at one document at a time. So if we close the concordance, for example, close natin siya, and then we connect concordance with corpus viewer. Corpus viewer is to look at the corpus source. Okay, corpus viewer. If you double click corpus viewer, you can find there the document kung saan makikita mo lahat na na-highlight na part doon. So pag interesado ka, for example, nabasahin yung buong document, ang gagawin mo lang is to go to corpus viewer. Okay? Go to corpus viewer and lalabas doon yung articles na kung saan na-mention yung naka-highlight sa ating concordance. For example, balik tayo sa concordance. Mag-highlight tayo ng dalawa. Tingnan natin kung dalawa nga ba ang ibabalik sa atin ng corpus. Okay, sige. Isama mo yung 75, ma'am. Yan, yung naka-highlight na blue. And then highlight mo, i-control mo tapos next. Sige. So dalawa yon, di ba? Dalawang clusters yon. Tingnan natin doon sa ating corpus viewer. Dapat sa corpus viewer, dalawang articles na rin ang lalabas doon. Ayan. So, lumabas na yung dalawang articles. Ibig sabihin, nasa dalawang articles na yan, yung mga naka-highlight na words doon sa ating concordance. At kapag gusto nyo magbasa pa ng mas malalim, then you can go to that document manually. Okay? Although, it's a little bit time-consuming kasi nga manual mo siyang bubusisiin isa-isang document. Let's have another way of doing it. This time, all the documents can be grouped in one specific retrieval. Okay, so for example, you have the word, and then we can tell the software to retrieve all the sections or sections of all the documents that contain that word. So that's faster. Okay, so let's leave the concordance. That's one option. But if you're not happy with the concordance, you can do another thing. We can connect from pre-processed text, use exact keywords or extract keywords, sorry. Extract keywords Okay, so it's extracting keywords from the pre-processed text and then connect extract keywords to a word list. Extract keywords, connect it to word list. There, word list. Okay, so we have now the extract keywords. Can you check the extract keywords, please? Double click the extract keywords. All right. So meron ditong listahan ng mga words na, or can you do the, sige, okay na yan. Abbreviation. Okay. Sige. Okay. So we can have here some of the words that you'll find in the corpus. Again, ba't parang naiba ang ano? Anyway. Sige. So you can select words here. For example, we can select network, scale, regional, care, community, sabay natin competency, ano pa ba? Okay, sige. And then exit natin. We expect that the words we have chosen in the extract keywords will appear in the word list. Okay. Let's go to word list. Okay. Only input. There. All right, so we have here the words that we selected in the extract keywords, network, scale, regional, care. So you are telling the software that I'm interested in these keywords. For example, these are the words that appear in your first cluster, and you want to understand further the context as to which these words were mentioned in the text. So you can retrieve all the sections in your dataset that mention all these words. Okay, so exit this window, or you can doon sa untitled, pwede nyo lagyan doon ng theme, ng name. Okay? Connect the word list to the semantic viewer. Yung semantic viewer, yung ating pinaka-importanting widget. So, semantic viewer. Okay. So, your semantic viewer now will give us the sections of the documents where these words in the word list appear. If you notice, naka-red yung broken line. Ang reason kung bakit naka-red yung broken line ay si semantic viewer ay wala siyang paghuhugutan ng kaniyang mga words kasi sinabi lang natin i-extract mo itong words from the word list. Pero si semantic viewer hindi siya connected to any corpus. So, ang gagawin natin, i-connect natin si semantic viewer sa ating corpus. But before we do that, let's clarify first the relationship that we are trying to explore. So, double-click mo sa selected words to corpus, yung sa connecting line nilang dalawa. Yan, sa gitna. Yan. It should be words to words. I-clear all and then words to words. Okay. Okay. Clear all. Okay. And then okay. Sige. Click okay. Ayun. So, wala na yung pula. Now, let's connect pre-processed text to semantic viewer. So, huhugot. Hihila tayo. Connect natin dyan. Alright. So, that completes the syntax now. So, meron na tayong paghuhugutan ng dataset at meron na tayong salita na kung ano yung gusto nating i-retrieve ni Orange para sa atin. So, ito medyo heavy kasi buong dataset ang hahanapin niya. So, ang ginagawa niya ngayon, nagsa-scout siya sa dataset ng mga words or occurrences ng mga words na nasa word list natin. Para ibabalik niya sa'yo yung sections na lang ng mismong document na nabanggit yun, yung nasa word list natin. Okay ba tayo? Nakakasunod pa po ba?
Yes po, sir.
Malakas pa po ba?
Yes po.
Medyo
Yes.
medyo matatagalan na lang tong part na to. Kasi iniisa-isa niya yan. Questions so far while waiting for the semantic viewer to load? Are there questions, clarifications? Um, examples. Yan. Ma'am Ara, nakikita namin yung chat mo. Pipikit na ba kami?
Sorry po.
Yan yun ang disadvantage pag naka-share yung screen.
Kaya
Kasi,
nga po.
nalabas lahat. Anyway. Yan, medyo matagal. Questions while we are waiting na ma-load lahat. Actually, ito yung downside ng orange. Kasi, pag mga heavy na analysis, katulad ng semantic viewer, naghahang siya or tatagal siya. Anyway, at least, no, hindi natin kailangan magbayad. Tiyagain natin, hintayin. Okay. Ma'am Ara, while we are waiting, no, can I proceed with the final discussion of the proposal? Balik ulit tayo sa proposal. Tatahi natin ito doon sa proposal. Ba't ba natin ginagawa to? So, balik tayo sa proposal.
Stop share.
Yung literature review para saan ulit? To understand the core problem, the project goal, and the project purpose. Or, if you want, you can publish the entire document because we did it systematically. So, dalawa yung purpose, dalawa yung main goal natin. Una, pwede natin siyang i-publish as a standalone article. Pangalawa, gusto nating mas maintindihan pa yung ating proposal, di ba? Okay, so sabi natin, critical transformative yung ginagawa natin. Anong unique characteristic ng critical transformative? Hindi kami nag-uumpisa sa literature review. Nag-uumpisa kami sa aming problem. Okay, so ang goal ng literature review natin is to elaborate further the primarily the project goal and the project purpose, but also we can get more insights about the core problem. But this time, this is no longer to validate whether the problem is valid or not. This is to give us more information about the problem. Maybe we can say that the problem that we want to address, or the problem that we are attempting to address in this project, is also a problem experienced in other regions. For example, in Africa, this is also a manifest problem. This is also a problem, for example, in Australia, because I have seen it in the literature review. But more than that, we want to understand the project goal and the project purpose. If we read literature, perhaps we can see how these were, or we can look at some of the ideas or insights that can help us define better the purpose and the goal of our project. But when you ask me, is it necessary that we do literature review for us to be able to develop the project purpose, the project goal, and to understand further the core problem? The answer is a resounding no. You can have your research without having the literature review, because in critical transformative research, we primarily base your research on what is existing or what is extant in your context. So if the problem is there, you don't need to look at literature to let you know that the problem exists. All right. So if the intervention is right there, identified by among yourselves in the discussion, then you don't need to look at literature to tell you that this is the best thing to be done, because the best thing to be done is the one or the strategy that is identified using a participatory process. So if you agree among yourselves in the discussion that it is best to do this, then that should be the best option. No, you don't need to have literature for that. That's the reason why one of the things that we advocate or we fight in critical transformative research is to revise or to have a refinement or a modification of templates of research, wherein we integrate literature review in the context of the research, or in the background or the introduction of the research, because some proposals may not need literature review to be able to be or to be conceptualized. Okay, so that is where we That is one of the positions of the critical transformative research. But because your template suggests that there should be a review of literature to be done, then we can accommodate literature review, but the purpose of the literature review is not to tell us that the problem should be this one because the literature says this is the problem. The purpose of the literature review is for us to have a better glimpse at the problem, and perhaps to have or to look to give some global a trend of the problem, and even the project goal and the project purpose. Okay, so what can we do after the literature review? After having read the literature and after having seen the recurring theme in our literature, perhaps you can finalize your uh, you can now finalize your logical framework. Saan yung logical framework? All right. So your logical framework will be primarily affected by your literature review. So your logical framework in terms of the goal, the purpose, can be influenced by what you have read or what you have discovered in your literature. And after you have done the logical framework, you can go back to the methods section. You notice the way we develop the proposal. So the way we develop the proposal is not the order of items that appear in the proposal template of the institution, and that is fine because I would suggest that we write the methodology right after we completed the logical framework. It is difficult to write the methodological section or the methodology section if we have not finished the logical framework. And I know you understand why. In the logical framework, this is where we identify the activities and the measurable indicators. In the measurable indicators, this is where we can highlight or articulate the different methods that we need to proceed with our research. And that's the reason why I would suggest that you first accomplish the logical framework before you proceed to methodology. Okay, so you write the methodology based on the logical framework. The logical framework will tell you what should be needed and what data should be collected. And in order for you to complete the methodology part, you can have this section or this matrix. Your research methods matrix should definitely contain the output objective. So you look at the output. Okay, how many outputs do you have? So just look at the outputs, but this time I want you to separate one output at a time. Okay, you start with the purpose and then one output at a time. Your purpose is the general objective of your research or the general problem that you would like to address. Di ba meron tayong sinasabi natin pag statement of the problem, we say that this study or this research generally aims to. That is the purpose of your research. Specifically, this study would like to, that is the enumerated outputs of your research, yung after ng specifically. So yung strategies natin in order to satisfy and to realize all the specifically there is your or are your objectives. So I want you to separate all the outputs or separate the outputs from each other and put all the activity objectives or the activities in under each output. For example, output number 1 will entail conduct of trainings. So what are the activity objectives of the training? Perhaps you will be able to conduct 4 trainings. Okay? So you can have activity number 1 to be able to successfully conduct or whatever is the objective of that activity. Okay? What are the relevant data? These are all the usual. This matrix is the usual data uh, or methods section matrix where you indicate the objectives, the information or the data that you will be needing to answer that objective or to support that objective, how the data will be collected, and how the data will be analyzed. And because this is a proposal stage, what are your expected results after doing this analysis of this collected data from your activity? Okay? And that should complete your methodology section or your methods section. How do you want to name it? It depends. Look at the research objectives, look at the data analysis, look at the data collection. If the data collection and data analysis entails a mixture of quali and quanti, then you can use the mixed methods as your design. Or if you want to abide and if this will be allowed in your university, then forego all the labels. You can just simply describe it as this research will proceed as. In that case, I would like to recommend that you will change this section from methodology to methods, because methods is basically explaining how the process will be done, free from any epistemological foundations or epistemological groundings. So you can do that, except that you have to change the section from methodology to methods. But because this is your template, you can skip at methodology and follow any of the three designs in your methodology. As I have emphasized, because we advocate critical transformative research, I would definitely suggest that you use the mixed methods research and find a way that you can integrate quali and quanti data in your research. Transformative is any form of combination. So ang sinasabi lang naman ni Creswell ay kapag dalawa sabay, walang pakialaman sa isa't isa, and then kino-combine o kinukumpara yung kanilang results, that's convergent. Kapag nauna ang quantitative at sinundan ng qualitative, that's explanatory. Kapag nauna ang qualitative, sinundan ng quantitative, that's exploratory. Pero kapag wala dyan sa tatlo, hindi ibig sabihin na kapag wala sa tatlo, hindi na mixed methods yan. So in any manner that you combine quali and quanti, we call it the embedded, the multi-phase, or the transformative mixed methods. So masyadong structured kapag convergent, explanatory, or exploratory. Pero kapag wala dyan sa tatlo ang pattern ng pagko-combine mo ng quali at quanti, we call it transformative mixed methods research, which also aligns with the critical transformative research that we are advocating. So that's what you can do. So name it according to the Creswell classification and then proceed with the discussion of this part or this matrix in your proposal. But I'm not gonna ask you to do that as your output. You can do that after this training because we still have other things to do. This one is very easy because this is no different than what we are already doing. So, ang ginagawa lang natin dito is ilipat natin dito yung objectives natin. Saan natin kinukuha to? Doon ito sa ating logical framework. This must all be found in the logical framework. And then relevant data. Kapag sinabi natin, I want to do this, then what information can be extracted or can be gathered to test or to know whether you have achieved that or not? How are we going to collect it? How are we going to analyze it? And what is the expected results? All right. So that should complete your proposal uh, template or your proposal blueprint, no? What will be lacking already in the proposal blueprint is the narrative. And narrative is very easy to do because all you need to do is just write about what is there. For example, this is your system of practice. You can start writing about the group met and discussed about some of the possible or some of the areas in our current system that may need attention through research. We started talking about the knowledge and practices that affect and we found out the most recurring theme is pertaining to blah, blah, blah. And we started talking about some of the issues or problems about this system of practice and found out, for example, you can have a table. This table gives us a quick glimpse of the common knowledge and practices that influence the system of practice. That's already the first part. Okay, then you can proceed. And then the problems that we have generated or identified from the analysis of the system of practice were plotted in a problem tree. Okay, and then you can show the problem tree, etc., etc. And then you can proceed with the objectives tree again. We transform the problems identified in the problem tree from the results chain process. We identified or we have selected some of the problems which we transformed into objectives. And these objectives became the basis of our logical framework. Then you write the logical framework. After you write the logical framework, you can start working on the literature review. Okay. And then you write the methods or the methodology section, and then that's where you can have your final proposal. All right. So at this point, I guess it is better if Ma'am Ara can initiate a discussion or conversation with the research office so that perhaps the research office can reconsider the deadline and accept possible proposals submitted now before December 30 coming from this workshop. So if that two groups will be able to produce perhaps at least two proposals, perhaps that can we can lobby with the research office to accommodate the proposals na ihahabol natin for 2023 funding para may output ka agad. So that should end the proposal stage. You should have your blueprint and you should be able to write about it. So when you write your proposal, my suggestion or my tip is to simply write it the way you want it explained verbally. So walang halong pagpapanggap ng style ng pagsusulat. Write it the way you would like people to hear it from you. So magsulat na parang nagsasalita. So in a very conversational tone, that's how you can easily connect with the reader of your proposal. So if I'm going to review your proposal, then I have to be able to connect with your language and your writing style. And if you adopt a writing style that may not be familiar with the Filipino evaluators, then you may not, you know, pinipilit natin lalo na yung mga technical terms at tayo mismo hindi natin naiintindihan. Wag avoid natin 'yon. So let's try to write it in a very conversational style or template so that the evaluators would understand us. Okay, so perhaps when you talk about publication in foreign journals, I may let you have another style. But for the proposal stage, write it to win the heart of your evaluators. And who are the evaluators? They are a part of the university. So write for the people in the university. So there, I hope that that is and I have learned about it. So that's entirely about the proposal. And this afternoon, we're going to have the qualitative data analysis, again using the Orange software. The process will be the same, except that this afternoon we will be dealing with qualitative data. Okay, so questions so far before the qualitative paradigm, we can embrace possibilities that our current paradigm of research can also satisfy some of the requirements of the quantitative researchers. And that's the reason why we are extending or we are reaching out to the quantitative counterparts, especially in every university. The initiative can start from qualitative researchers. Reach out to quantitative researchers and tell them that we are doing this. We're doing quantitative or qualitative data analysis that somehow applies some quantitative principles, and that is our way of meeting both our criteria or both our standards so that we can work harmoniously, so that the next time we do research, it's not going to be about whether it's qualitative or it's quantitative. It's not going to be about whether quali is better than quanti or quanti is better than quali. The next time that we will do research, we will focus more on the purpose and the objectives of our research rather than identifying whether it's quali or it's quanti. So quanti or quali should no longer be the first point of our discussion when we engage in research. The primary point of discussion when we start conceptualizing research should be the purpose or the objective of why we are doing that research. Who will benefit? Anong pakinabang ang maidudulot kapag ginawa natin yung research na iyon? So that is our hope and our advocacy that the next thing or the next batches of research or the next generation of researchers will be more concerned about the purpose of research rather than the method of research. Okay, so I'd like to go to the next part, which is on identifying the characteristic or starting the process of qualitative inquiry. And this time, we will be using the core problem that we have identified in the previous activity or in activity 3 of our proposal. Okay, but I'd like to describe the question that matters in qualitative research or in a critical transformative form of research. Questions that matter is, or the question that matters is basically the starting point of a qualitative investigation. So you begin with what of a particular question or a question that truly matters. Question that truly matters are questions that represent a real world problem. So that's the first qualification. Yeah, you can call it a question that matters if it represents a real world problem, if it requires iterative engagement with the informants. So kapag ang question natin ay answerable by yes or no or answerable by one sitting or by one interview, we say that that may not be a good and a question that matters. No, it may be revised to something else so that it will require iterative engagement with the informant. So yung kailangan mong bumalik ulit at magtanong, not necessarily in a different interview or in a different occasion, but it will require you to interact and to probe during the discussion. So ulitin ko, yung iterative engagement dito ay hindi kailangang paulit-ulit na pag-i-interview. Ang ibig sabihin natin sa iterative engagement ay it elicits a reflexive process. So yung pwede kang sumagot, pwede siyang sumagot at magkakaroon ng discussion during the process. So kapag ang question natin ay hindi it will not uh, how do you call that? It will not prompt the researcher and the informant to engage in a reflexive process, and that is not a good qualitative research question. Third qualification of a question that matters is that it shouldn't be a threatening question or it shouldn't be an evaluative question. So, pag sinabi natin na we're working on health and well-being of faculty of PRIMSO, it is not a good question to start with. Are you happy with the health and well-being policy of the university? Because it's a highly evaluative question. So you can start with a more uh, uh, general question that requires interaction or that will solicit information or experiences from the different informants or the different participants. It shouldn't be threatening, and I guess it is a common knowledge to all of us that questions shouldn't be a threatening one. Okay, it should call for exploration and description, as we described in number 2. It requires iteration and it should call for exploration and description. So para bagang kapag tayo ay nagtatanong, hindi yung tanong na pwede lang sagutin ng nasa report ko po yan. Pwede nyo na pong basahin. So, that's what we try to avoid. Pag nagtatanong tayo, for example, we go to the office of the or to the HRMO. And then yung tanong natin doon ay pwedeng sabihin ng HRMO sa atin na basahin nyo na lang, nasa 2021 report po namin yan. So yan yung mga tanong na hindi mainam para sa isang qualitative investigation. So let's ask questions that will prompt the informants to engage in a conversation. So basically, we're dealing or we simply refer to questions that will require discussion. All right. So the next thing that we will do is to develop a question, generate uh, generate data from the question by engaging in a reflexive conversation, and later on, we will be using the Orange software to process the data that we will generate. So perhaps at about 30 minutes, we will be able to do it. So I'd like to bring you to the other tool that we will be using, and that is the Otter AI software or the Otter AI. Okay, so Otter AI will simply record and transcribe whatever it hears, no? So it is important to understand that when you do the conversation, uh, the Otter AI must be able to hear all the speakers. So that's the reason why I would like to advise you to use your mobile device or your cell phone to do the transcription or the live transcription of your discussion. So when we say live transcription of the discussion, it means that while you are speaking, the software is also transcribing it for you, like the one that you are seeing on the screen right now. So uh, the software is transcribing while I am speaking, and that's the live transcription. So it is best if you will use the mobile device because the mobile device can hear both or can hear all the speakers during a conversation. So when you talk and the person on the other party responds, the software will be able to capture it and it will appear in the transcript. So basically, the ones that I'm showing on the screen right now is the power of the Otter AI. So you see the accuracy of the transcription. You have followed what I was talking, right? And you see how the software transcribes it. It's the accuracy level is high. So yun, we will be using this Otter AI, but the downside, I don't know that if it is a downside. The key thing here is that uh, the conversation has to be in English. So in this case, I would say that let's have the conversation in English because to save us time. Otherwise, if it is not going to be in English, Otter AI does not have a support yet for other languages. No, so if you speak in Tagalog or Filipino, the Otter AI will not recognize it and magkakagulo yung kanyang transcription. Kasi kung ano-anong English na sounds like yung kanyang ilalagay doon para doon sa mga Tagalog terms mo. So, it may not help. So, I would say that in this part of the activity, just for now, let's have it in English, the conversation in English to save us time. Otherwise, you have to manually transcribe the process so that we can have something to be analyzed in our Orange software later. So here are the instructions of our Cactus activity. So you go to your breakout room and I'd like to request Ma'am Ara to prepare the breakout room, the seven. I guess there are only two breakout rooms now, the IP group and the health and well-being. No, go to your breakout room and agree from among yourselves who will facilitate the conversation. Okay. Recall the core problem that you developed or you formulated in activity 3. Okay. From that core problem, you developed or formulate the question that matters. You remember the question that matters represents a real world problem. So wala nang problema doon sa real world problem kasi alam naman natin na galing sa ating system of practice yung core problem na iyon. It requires iterative engagement, non-threatening, non-evaluative, and it calls for exploration and description. So formulate the question that matters based on the core problem, and then list down some possible probing questions. And then finally, you engage in a reflexive conversation, perhaps about or hanggang sa matapos kayo. Maybe 40 minutes conversation could run until 40 minutes, and please don't be conscious about the recording, no, just uh, the usual conversation like yung kahapon na ginagawa natin, except this time that perhaps we may need to speak in straight English so that the conversation will be captured by the software. Otherwise, we have to manually do the transcription. Always elaborate your answers, no, and whoever the facilitator will be, I'd like you to also make sure that participants or the participants of the conversation are able to elaborate their answers. So if they have very limited description of their answers, you can probe, you can ask, tell me more, or you can say, I'm interested to know more. Okay. The discussion must be long enough to generate recurring themes. Otherwise, the themes developed may be too limited and difficult to describe in the research report. Okay, so guide and okay, we have done that. So perhaps we can take into consideration the following sample questions or sample probing framework. Uh, we can have the generic probing questions. Why do you think so? What do you mean? Is it right to say that? What can you say about it? Or how do you feel about it? Maybe you can be more specific. Why do you think work from home is not favorable? What do you mean by dangerous? Is it right to say that the university is depriving, etc., etc.? So you can have your own techniques also of making the conversation go or proceed. Uh, yung wala masyadong dead ends, no? Of course, because it's a conversation. And of course, facilitator must make sure that everybody is comfortable with the process or the mechanics of the conversation. Yung walang threatening elements doon sa process. All right. So that is going to be our activity this afternoon before we proceed with the use of the software in analyzing qualitative data. So engage in a conversation as long as you can until you think that you have discussed everything. Alam ko ang dami yung pwedeng sabihin lalo na dun sa health and wellness or health and well-being group. Okay, so that's our task. Perhaps the conversation could last at about 30 or between 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, good luck. That's all that you will be doing. And then after your conversation, let's get back here for the orange software processing.
Okay, thank you po, sir. Parang baseline data dito kung meron na ba tayong yung available technology, ganun po. Okay ba yun sa inyo? Kasi it's to enhance Primsus efforts in engaging IP community through education, a convergence program, or how do we enhance? Sige po, any insight po? Ano lang yung topic na gusto nyo? Magda-draft po kasi tayo ng question para mayroon tayong question for our discussion later. Do you want to get the baseline data of the community first? Dahil we want to enhance Primsus efforts, or tanuin ano ba? Or the ways, or dalawa na lang na po para we center on the enhancing Primsus efforts in engaging IP community. Mag-ano po kaya? Magsagot po kayo. Can we have, parang we are interviewing, the setting will be interviewing siguro Primsu employees or teachers, researchers, kung ano na po yung alam nila doon sa ating how does Primsu engage with the community. Tapos siguro how do we enhance it. Okay lang ba sa inyo yun?
Yes po, Doc.
So yun na po kasi iniisip ko, hindi naman din tayo makakapunta doon sa mga community. Doon na natin po i-center yung discussion natin. So ano yung question natin? Type lang po kayo sa chat box kung meron na kayong gustong maisip na question. Na tayo din sasagot mamaya. For me, ako po. Check niyo po ha. Yan, okay. Yan po ang aking question. So somehow to get the baseline data. Any question po that you would like to add?
Nag-iisip pa po, Doc.
Sige po. Pag ano po, mag-chat lang po ha. Yeah, pag when we are drafting questions for qualitative, not too specific kasi parang, so we give the participants, parang magiging broad kasi yung sagot nila iba-iba. So we don't limit it as to this factor, that factor, unlike in quantitative. So yan po, I think is okay naman yung isa, tapos follow up na lang naman. Sige po, mag-type lang po sa chat box if Mayroon na po kayong idea. Paano ba ito? Nawawala yung mga icon ko ng zoom in. Ay, bigyan ko pala sila instruction na wait lang po ha. Bigyan ko lang po ng
Talagang nagiging guided. At saka, the quality of the questions according to the group is it triggers and it elicits elaboration. It's inherent in the question that the responses shall be elaborated. So that's one very important characteristic of the question. The type of question that will not limit the participants to share. So ito yung mga masyadong open at masyadong broad na mga tanong na any answer could probably be shared, no? And that uh, kind of questions would elicit discussion and would tell or would signal the participants to share more. Unlike when you have questions that are highly restrictive and responses are very specific and limited, it won't generate much information during the conversation or the process. Okay, so remember that what we are doing is not a plain interview. It's not a plain focus group discussion. It is a conversation wherein the interaction and reflexivity are highly encouraged among participants of the conversation. As we have defined kanina, reflexive practice is being able to interact and being able to negotiate meanings, being able to confront biases, and being able to embrace subjectivity. That's the dialogue that we are trying to advocate or to promote. No, engaging in a conversation that allows everybody to to question, to confront biases, and to verify and to seek clarification, and later on to come up with a negotiated meaning. We call it a co-constructed knowledge or knowledge that everybody agrees or constructs. Okay, next. Let's start. Let's focus first on the pluses. The other plus is that everybody has baseline knowledge. So ito yung sinasabi natin sa ating introduction kahapon na mahirap kapag nagka-quali tayo sa field na hindi natin are within the boundaries of our expertise or within the boundaries of our system. Kaya nga importante sa umpisa pa lang na define na natin yung boundaries ng ating system. Kasi pagdating sa any form of conversation or any form of discussion, mahirap kapag hindi tayo nakaka-relate. Kasi kapag hindi tayo nakaka-relate, hindi tayo magsasalita. At kapag hindi tayo magsasalita o hindi tayo sasagot, ibig sabihin nun, walang mangyayaring reflexivity. Kasi walang sagutan, walang interaction, walang dialogue, or walang dialectic process, no? So, it's only a one-sided process. Isa lang yung nagsasalita at walang interaction. Hindi ka pwedeng sumagot, hindi ka pwedeng magtanong kasi unang-una hindi mo kabisado yung topic. So, it is crucial and I'm happy that the group of or the IP group was able to manifest that it is important that everybody has baseline knowledge of the core problem and the question that matters that becomes the focus of the conversation. That will help you generate more data because everybody can answer back or can interact. So alam natin yung mga nuances. For example, pag may sa tingin natin ay hindi ayon sa ating experience or ating knowledge, then we can confirm, we can confront, and we can tell the person that I do not seem to agree with you on that. No, in my experience, we do this. So that's basically what triggers reflexive practice. Okay. Let's look at some of the minuses. No? Ang pinaka minus natin is yung English, yung requirement na nag-i-English. Okay? So, and definitely this will never apply when you go out to the field. Okay? So, it will work this time because pwedeng pilitin, sabi nga ni Sir Josh, pwede nating pilitin na mag-English kahit or dahil somehow pwede tayong mag-English. Anong problem kapag pilitin mo yung isang tao to speak in a language na hindi siya comfortable or hindi niya mother tongue? Unang-una, it limits conversation, it limits interaction. So, ganyan din ang mangyayari kapag pupunta tayo sa field and sasabihin natin na hindi po ako marunong mag Ilocano. Kaya can you speak in Tagalog? So, masyadong ano yon, masyadong colonial yon. Hindi pwedeng so ang informant ang mag-a-adjust sa iyo. So hindi pwedeng ganoon. So ganoon din ang mangyayari sa atin kapag pilitin natin yung isang tao or participant to speak in a language that he is not comfortable using. Ang goal ng qualitative research or any form of conversation in qualitative research is to make the process as natural as possible. So paano natin ma-maintain yung naturalness ng process kapag ang kanilang natural language ay hindi natin ipapagamit. Okay? So ganun yung nangyari sa atin sa paggamit natin ng English. So paano sir kapag hindi tayo nag-English? So walang choice kundi if allowed tayong mag capture ng recording, then let's transcribe the recording manually. So far, wala pa akong nakikitang transcriber na may Tagalog. Pwedeng yung gagamitin natin is yung group transcribe ng Microsoft. But I guess the group transcribe of Microsoft works online. So if you are there in Botolan and you're interviewing some of the ITAs, and I don't think that will help, no? So if there is a new software soon, perhaps that will be able to transcribe Filipino language, then that would be a welcome addition or development to the world of qualitative research. But in the meantime, that's one of the areas na kailangan nating ima-manual fully. Kasi as I've said, hindi natin pwedeng isakripisyo yung naturalness of the process because we want faster and convenient way of transcribing the data. Again, hindi pwedeng pupunta ka sa field and then the field will adjust with your convenience. So it has to be a conversation, it has to be a dialogue, and it has to be a co-generated knowledge in the field. So you go there, and if they speak in this language, then bring somebody who is comfortable speaking with the language, who can interact with them using the language. Maybe you can interact every now and then if hindi masyadong what do you call that? Hindi masyadong disturbing sa conversation na nandoon ka. Pero kapag nandoon ka at nasisira yung dynamics ng conversation dahil nandoon ka, hindi rin magandang practice iyon. For example, nandoon ka, nasa gilid. Tapos lagi mo sila, ano nga sabi niya? Pwede mo translate mo sa akin para naman ako, makapag-interact na mo. It doesn't help, no? So, it diminishes the naturalness of the process kasi it's not every day that these people will meet somebody who needs a translator in the conversation. So it doesn't help, no? You can just let the one who can speak the language do it, and then wait until the conversation is finished, and perhaps you can let him schedule another round wherein you can input already some of your insights based on the transcript of the previous conversation. So that's basically the problem that you may encounter in gathering qualitative data. Qualitative data collection is very personal, no? Lahat ng senses natin nagagamit in qualitative data collection. Yung mata, yung ilong, yung skin, lahat ng nararamdaman, yan ay parte ng data sa qualitative research. And we have to be keen about all these things
Recording in progress.
during data collection or in data gathering. So in any conversation or in any type of qualitative encounter with potential sources of information, then we make sure that we utilize the different sources of or different senses to gather data. Okay, so we're done with the transcription. So now let's proceed with the use of the software. But I'll give you the the time. I'll give you the chance to try it on your own, or we can close this training. You can try, or you I'll give you the chance whether to try it with me now, or I can close the training. I can stay until the end, but at least I have already given my closing spiel to you. So I guess that will work, no? I'll close it now, and then I'll stay while you are processing the transcript kanina, so that if you have questions, especially in generating the themes, you can still ask me. The process of generating the themes and the process of analyzing the data that you have gathered is exactly the same as what we did in the um, in the morning session, the literature review, except that the PDFs that you will be loading to uh, the data set or to the import documents widget are data coming from your interviews. So I guess, by the way, were you able to export the recording? So maybe that's the thing that is lacking. I did not teach you how to export the to all of you, just so you get something to remember about this training. No, if perhaps if not the orange, then I get to remember this. And I don't know if you were able to go to these places. Ang masasabi ko lang, Zambales is one of the most beautiful places I have been. This one is where is this? This one is in Balingkilat. So Balingkilat is going to Nagsasa. Okay, so this one is we had this on a Independence Day. See, this one is our Independence Day climb. We traversed going to Nagsasa. And I guess this was the time na dumating kami sa Nagsasa na walang yung mga baon lang namin na damit. Kasi hindi nakatawid yung bangka na nagdala ng aming pagkain, ng aming tulugan. So yun yung experience. Pero, well, hindi pa rin, wala, walang, hindi na yun, walang sinabi yung mga ganong experiences sa mga katulad namin. This one is in Nagsasa. Okay, so that's after that night na walang pagkain, walang matutulugan. So ito yon in Nagsasa. Bawing-bawi, no? Sa ganda naman ng beach, grabe. So this one is, I guess, still in Sambales, Mount Pinatubo. Ayun, so we passed by the communities in Botolan. Tama ba? Botolan ang dadaanan?
Yes,
Yun.
sir. Meron po.
Ayun, so this one is in Zambales. I guess, so yun, para may maalala kayo sa akin. This one is in, ano ba to? In Pundakit. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na my first or mother mountain. My mother mountain is Mount Pundakit. On the way, traversing to Anawangin. So ito yung sa top ng Pundakit. Makikita mo na, ayan na yung Anawangin Cove. Ay, ang ganda. Pero mga 4 hours mo pa rin siyang lakarin from the top. So ganun siya kaganda yung experience. And then, after ng Pundakit, this one is already in Anawangin. Ang ganda ng Anawangin. In the morning. So this one is Anawangin in the morning. I guess marami pa akong mga bundok sa Zambales na naakyat na. Ito yung pinaka-memorable kong akyat. Mount Tapulaw. Sa ngayon parang ito ay hindi ko muna babalikan na bundok. It's an 18-kilometer hike going up and 18-kilometer hike going down. Masyadong mabato kasi I think ginagawa yung daan papuntang Baguio dito. I think may ongoing na road construction connecting Zambales to Baguio. So yun yata ang nangyayari na kapag umuulan, nagiging river yung daan, tas maraming mga bato-bato. Okay. And of course, I'd like to thank you all for inviting me to your university today and to share my experiences and knowledge frames on qualitative research, on critical transformative research, and some tools to help us go through.
Dali po. Import document. Then pre-processed text. Remind niyo po ako kung may nakakalimutan ako.
Ma'am Ara,
Yes po. Import ko
select niyo
muna.
po muna yung folder.
Excited na. Ginawa lang yung workflow.
Hindi kita matulungan, ma'am, at hindi po ako naka-laptop na eh.
Hindi ka naka-laptop. Sige, sir. I-remind nyo lang ako kasi alam nyo naman po, sa edad ko medyo na rin. Makakalimutin na rin. So, ito po yung downloads kanina. Ito. Bakit ayaw? Kailangan po naka-folder.
Yes
Ayaw
po,
niya
ma'am.
i-click. Wait lang po, gagawa ko po ulit. Receive.
Doc Ara, hindi po pala namin nakikita yung yung may mga nagpa-pop up.
Hindi nyo nakikita.
Yes po. Nakashare lang po yata kayong main window.
Sige. Ano ko ulit. Yung screen lang mismo yung nakikita nyo. Yan. Tapos, dali po. Titingnan ko yung aking kodigo. Pre-process.
Nakaano pala ako.
Ay, nakikita niyo na po?
Yes po, ma'am. Nakikita po.
Okay. Sa pre-process, nahanap ko pa sa notes ko.
Normalization, ma'am. Yes.
After,
Hindi ko nga lang for sure, ma'am, kung saan ilalagay, kung after ba nito.
may yan may order.
Yes po.
So, meron tayong
Ang normalization.
wait lang. Sir Joby, mukhang mas matatagal ang hanapin ko na yun.
Sige lang. Take your time. Mas meaningful kapag kayo mismo ang nagkamali at kayo mismo ang natuto.
Extract keywords. Nasaan na yun? Normalization after tokenization. Tama po ba? Ba't ayaw na? Ayun.
Sorry
Yan.
po. Ingay kanina may lumapit po.
Okay na po ito. Tapos lemma gem. Lemmatizer.
Yung staff words po.
Sa script na po. Saan siya yun? Then, okay na po yan. 100 pa rin tayo.
Ma'am, sa numbers po. Yung numbers po.
Ito. Okay. Okay na po, sir. Next na tayo.
Yes po yata, ma'am.
Kunin mo na yung index card. Tingnan ko na na index card. Apo. Tapos, the process we have word cloud. Yan. Then, open. Ayan. Meron na tayo pong word cloud. Babawasan po natin. Kahit hanggang 15. Ay, sir, naalala ko po, may question po pala ako sa lit review. May minimum number po ba ng mare-retain dapat na articles? Like, kailangan po ba, halimbawa, 50, yun po yung minimum? Or wala naman, sir? Depende po sa screening na po.
Yeah, depende talaga sa screening niya.
Okay. Sige
So kung umabot ng 2, 4 na lang, so ganun yung i-declare mo. Pero dumaan ka sa systematic process. So alam natin na talagang walang basura sa nakuha natin at wala tayong na-miss out.
Okay po, sir. Noted po. Ayan, okay na po tayo sa hanggang yung mga Tinanggal na po.
Baka di kaya masyadong konti lang ni Sarah. Baka pwedeng
Ay, sorry. Sige po, palitan ko po.
masyadong konti lang.
Hanggang
Marami pang mga importante dyan, like practice, knowledge. Pwede siguro hanggang 6.
ayan po.
Nandiyan pa nga yung AITA.
Ah,
Mm-mm.
sige sir,
Pwede
ituloy
nyo
ko.
na lang isa-isa nyo lang. Sige, hanggang dyan na lang muna. Sige, try natin.
Sandali lang sir. Check ko po yung mga nag-i-index cards sila. Thank you. Ito po. Then, word cloud, corpus. Then, meron po dito. Yan. Select words to data. Okay. Corpus. Line ulit. To document embedding. Tapos another line po. Data table. Then, yan, 29 instances, 384 features po. Tapos, distances. And ayan, magkakaroon na tayo po ng mga cluster. Hindi Euclidean po sir, no? Cosine. Ayan. May naalala pa ako. Ayan po, hierarchical clustering. Okay.
Hindi po dapat average. Tama po.
Word na sir? Ay, word.
Tama po, word po. Sinat po nila.
Tapos, words. Yun. Tapos po, i-drag natin for colors. Okay na po ba tayo? I-analyze po natin kung ano yung mas gusto nating cluster. IP Tech Machine, High Priority Focus. Sabihan niyo po ako kung okay na po sa inyo ito. Problem question, knowledge. Ayan, medyo
Parang masyadong marami yata mga cluster yun.
Dito, sir. Tignan natin dito. Malaki pa rin. Ayan. So, magkakasama na po yung sa about education sa baba.
Magkakasama rin po ma'am yung halos puro verbs.
Yung ano po.
Practice, engage, conduct, all, create. Okay na po yun. Ma'am.
Okay na po sa inyo to. Ito. Ayan. So, we already have the cluster. Then, K-Miss.
Ma'am Ara.
Po, yes sir.
Pwede kayong let's ask one of your group mates to share to us an emerging story based on the clustering. So for example, if you have that kind of clusters, what story is emerging on your mind based on the conversation and based on the focus of your discussion? So what do you think? Maybe you can start from the top. What about IP, technology, and machine? What are these? A high priority focus. What does this mean? Okay, and then the very big chunk of or the very big cluster. What does it mean? So let's hear kung anong story ang nabubuo sa atin based on these clusters. Sige nga.
Okay, anyone po from our group? Volunteer na lang po.
Unang tanong muna. Does this make sense? Does the clustering make sense?
Ma'am Eden, would you like to answer po?
Yes daw, yes. Okay, so if it makes
Ayan po.
sense,
Answered.
what emerging story is forming no on your mind upon seeing these clusters? Sige daw.
Any volunteer po from IP group?
Pwede natin lakihan yung box nyo sa hierarchical clustering, ma'am, para makita lahat.
Ayan po, sir.
Ayun. So, labas lahat na clusters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yun.
Ma'am Mel? Would you like to share, ma'am?
Nag-iisip pa po, Dok.
Sige, ma'am. Sir, okay lang po kung halimbawa sa isang cluster si ma'am.
Yeah, sige. Opo, pwede naman. Ma'am Ara, pwede mo kayang ibaba konti yung sa green? Baka pwedeng mahati pa yung green. Yung yellow-green. Baka try nating hatiin daw. Ano magiging cluster grouping niya?
Ito po.
So, engage, practice, and conduct ang kanyang mahiwalay. Call, create, program, people, community, problem, question, knowledge. Sige. Call, create, practice, engage, conduct. Sige. Try natin yan. Yung clustering na yan. Yan na po, kanina. Huwag nyo na ibaba.
Ay, sorry. Ayan po.
Yan. Try natin yan. Sige. May 6 na clusters. Siguro kahit isang cluster lang, pwede nyong i-describe based on ano yung nagiging relevance nito sa inyong research batay sa inyong conversation kanina. Ano bang relevance ng technology at machine?
Um, so, bale po, based on our discussion kanina po, mention po yung technology using machines na po ng ating IV community. So to enhance po yung kanilang livelihood ay makakatulong po yung increasing their knowledge sa paggamit po ng technology or machine.
Okay. So now it makes sense. Okay, good. So it's about teaching the IP with the new technology. And I guess this connects to livelihood, di ba? So C1 can connect to C6. We're talking of agricultural technology yata dito, machine for agricultural processes. So we can connect C1 and C6 pala, no? If that's the case. And we're talking of livelihood. Kanina nga lumabas, I think yun yung napag-discussan nyo kanina. So it's C1 and C6. Question, can you combine? The answer is yes. Can you combine clusters? Yes, of course. So if you think the two clusters make more sense to be combined kahit hindi magkasunod, then the prerogative is again on the researchers kasi unang-una kayo yung mas nakakaalam kaysa sa machine. So even kahit sa quantitative naman wala namang perfect factor loading. 'Di ba? May mga factors sa exploratory factor analysis na may mga items na naglo-load in more than one factors. O, 'di ba? So ang discretion nun or ang decision nun kung saan siya ilalagay will still be the researcher himself. Saan ba conceptually mas nag-fit ang item na yon sa anong factor. So the same pa rin dito. Kahit may suggested si machine based on the automation process, we can still have our own clustering. So yun, pwede natin i-combine pala ang 1 and 6. Sige.
So sir, pwede rin po tayo mag-drop ng ano po, from this.
Right. Correct. Pwede mag-drop ng words. For example, yung MOM, yung mom, mommy. So parang I don't think it fits there. Wala siya yata dapat diyan. So yun, pwedeng mag-drop. Pwedeng mag-drop ng cluster. Pwedeng mag-aggregate ng cluster. So conceptually, ito pa rin yung part na bumalik tayo sa manual na at the end of the day, kapag nagsusulat tayo ng report, balik ulit tayo sa researchers' engagement or involvement in the process. Kasi nga reflexive yung process ng quali. Hindi siya full objective. So yun. Okay, so what about high priority and focus? Anong ibig sabihin nito kaya based on your discussion?
Sir?
Yes, Sir Gerald.
Tingin ko po itong sa high priority and focus, ang naging flow nito kung titingnan natin, co-combine din po natin ito sa cluster 5. Kasi ang nag-uusapan po dito ay yung regarding sa hindrances, kung bakit tawag dito, hindi nag-a-avail ng tertiary education.
Yes.
Ayun po.
So yun. Very nice. So we're encouraging or enjoining the educational institution, which is cluster 5. So cluster 5 is the educational institution concerned. So sino yung mga taga-concern sa educational institution? Yung students, the school itself, or the college or the university itself. And then we enjoin the educational institution to number 2 or C2 or cluster 2 to put priority or focus on kung ano yung mga enhancement natin sa IP. Good. So we're left with C3 and C4. So what about C3?
Sir, so C3 and C4, I think yan na po yung mga actions that we can do. We can conduct or create programs na po for the ICT.
All right. Okay. So I guess this completes your proposal. You now have the backup on what you're going to do because you've seen it based on your discussion. So that's basically the essence of doing all these things. Good job, guys. Let's look at the other visualizations. Ang ganda. So hindi pa nga yun hindi nga yun pinlano ng maayos, di ba? Lalo na kung pinlano ng maayos yung yung conversation. Ang ganda siguro na magiging story natin. Okay, let's look at the other visualization.
Okay, wait lang po sir ha. At kinuha ng anak ko yung kodigo. Saka lang. Okay po, so we have K-means. Yan. K-means. Ano ka lang? Okay, so let's stick with 2 to 8. Okay lang po, sir. Then after K-means, we have MDS. Ito na po yung ating another visualization. Let's have per cluster ulit. Words. Yan. So next is, so okay na po tayo dun sa another visualization. Then we have also the TS and E. To be connected with K-means ulit. The TS and E. Words. Sa cluster. Ay, sorry. Words po. Ayan. So this is another visualization that we can use. Then, ano po ulit, sir? Pre-processed text and extract words. May kailangan po bang gawin dito, sir? Wala naman po.
You can select the words. Community, for example, ano yung nakikita natin kanina. High focus. Pwede din. Sige. Go.
Ay, pwedeng isa-isa.
Pag masyadong madami, medyo maglalag yung computer. So, pwede nating, for example, yung high and focus. Ano kaya ang context nun? Yung high and focus. Yan. Try natin yan. Silipin natin kung ano. Yan. Priority. May isa pa, priority. Check natin yan. Sige po. Yan na muna.
Okay po. Then, word list.
Only input.
Only input.
Okay.
Semantic viewer.
Good job.
Pero hindi pa po tapos yun. From process. Read. Madali po pala sir pag kahit even figure lang yung susundan po.
Oo.
Yan. Pero naka-exclamation point siya,
Opo,
sir.
yung sa selected words to corpus.
Iba word to
dapat.
po yan.
Ito pa. Itong red.
Yan, mawawala yung connection nila mamaya kasi yan dapat siyang inuna.
Words to words po.
Apo.
Okay.
Or pwede mong i-selected words ka muna. Selected words to words. Hindi siya corpus. Selected words to words. Sige, try natin. Kasi tinry kanina words to words. Sige, and then connect it to pre-processed text. Okay. Try to look at section. Wala. So, balik tayo ulit sa words to words. Okay. Clear list. Yan. Okay. Good. Then, wala muna. Hindi pa siya tapos nag-calculate.
Ay,
Okay.
naunahan ko siya.
Masyadong excited. Pwede rin kayo pwede kayo mag-concordance, no? Very quick and very, although again, surface level yung checking natin pag concordance.
Ayun.
Yan. So, diba? Kita na natin yung exact words. So, pwedeng section lang or pwedeng, kapag marami kang documents na nakaload dyan, pwede yung, per document.
Apo.
Yan, diba? So, yan, lumalabas yung mga, naka-highlight yung parts na kung saan binanggit yung mga pinili nating mga words. So, mas maintindihan mo ngayon kung ano nga ibig sabihin nun kasi mababalikan mo yung dataset. Hindi na random, di basahin mo pa yung buong transcript at hanapin kung paano niya binanggit. So, yan, naka-highlight na for you. Pwede kang mamili ng words doon sa word list, Ma'am Ara, habang, for example, balikan mo yung word list. Yung high priority at saka yung focus lang ang ilagay mo. So, yun. Check mo yung yan, okay na po. Exit lang yan. Tapos check mo yung semantic viewer. Ayan. So, yun, tingin natin. Hindi ba nag-change?
Hindi pa siya po nag-change.
Sige, siguro. Anyway. Okay, update natin. Anyway, sige.
Hindi pa siya
So, perhaps you can doon sa extra keywords mismo natin ililimit. Basta ang idea dito is whatever you select, whatever words you select, you can view the entire data set kung saan siya nababanggit at naka-highlight iyon para sa mas mabilis na retrieval. Okay. So, I guess natapos natin ang ating objective. And you are able to do it on your own. Ang crucial dito is yung storyline. Kapag tayo ay involved sa project, madali yun. Kasi even sa transcription or critical transformative, hindi tayo nag-encourage magsusulat in the third person. dapat first person perspective tayo sa quali. Kasi si self is kasama. Hindi katulad ng quantitative research na ang self ay a third party observer. Anong manifestation ng third party observer? Kapag ikaw ay nagsusurvey, o di ba? Kasama ka ba sa survey? Wala. Kasi survey lang, binigay mo sa kanila, sumagot sila, umuwi ka. So, pag inanalyze mo yon, objective. Kasi kung anong sinabi nila, yun lang yun. Unlike sa quali kasi, may reflexive process na may interaction. So, the self should manifest because of the interaction. Kahit sa pagbuo pa lang ng problema or pag-formulate pa lang ng problema, kasama ka na eh. Kasi sa system of practice analysis natin, there's discussion and kasama ka doon. That's the reason why first person ang ating perspective sa lahat ng quali research. Nangyayari lang na nag-third party tayo, nag-third person tayo kapag kailangan na gawin dahil it will cause confusion among authors. I'd like to give you an example. In one of our articles, hindi ko pwedeng gamitin yung first person kasi magkakaproblema kami sa we at saka sa they. Sa sobrang dami ng grupo na involved. So, pag sinabi kong we, hindi pwedeng mahirap i-specify kung sino si we. Kami bang mga main researchers or kasama yung mga student volunteers, yung PhD students, or kami lang ng mga senior authors. So yun yun. Kaya we opted and we described it na we decided to use the third person para ma-distinguish yung groups sa paggamit ng pronouns. Pero by default, we use the first person. Ano pa ba? Part of the training supposedly is the publication process. I don't think there is a need for us to cover separately the publication process in qualitative research because definitely we're talking of the same thing. So when you think of publication of qualitative research, think of number one, what problem in the society are we trying to address? And when you write your report for publication, always target two things. Number one is the academic impact of your study. Number two is the societal impact or the social impact of your research. So pag sinabi nating academic impact, highlight dito sinong makinabang sa results ng inyong research dito sa world o sa academe. Who are the scholars or target researchers who will benefit? So don't forget to mention that kapag ikaw ay nag-aim for publication. Sabihin natin the results will be, pag sinabi natin, Rogayan is, for example, working on studies like this one. So that's how you articulate the impact or the academic impact of your study. Another thing in the academic impact is try to look at the knowledge system or knowledge base that may be affected by the results of your study. So may existing theory ba na masasagasaan? Pag sinabing masasagasaan, contradicting sa inyong sinasabi sa results. Pag sinabi natin sa result natin na hindi kailangan ng mga IPs ng Sambales ng education, kailangan nila ng support sa kanilang social structures or social infrastructure, a better social infrastructure which may not necessarily be education. So, contradicting sa lahat ng theories or sa halos lahat ng theories. But if you can support it with your existing data, then that's something new. Again, it's not all the time that we uphold an existing knowledge or theory in qualitative research. If we can offer something new and we can justify based on our studies, then that is even more remarkable for a qualitative research. The second thing is social impact. Okay, so social impact is unang-una practice. Anong practice ang mababago or maapektuhan sa ating research? So highlight natin doon. For example, kapag ang university ay malapit sa isang IP community, then there has to be a provision in the university code that provides assistance for IPs in building or strengthening their social infrastructure or social realities. So that can be highlighted in your report. So pag sinabi nating publication or creating or drafting papers or studies that are highly publishable or that will be marketable to journals, then always remember two things: academic impact and the social impact. These are very important because number one, as qualitative researchers, you're contributing to the knowledge base, either in terms of the results of your study or in terms of the methods that you are using. Number two, you are also a social advocate. There is a need for you to highlight what you can do to the society. Again, for social transformation, social change, promoting social justice, etc., etc. And these are the themes that you will highlight in your research. So if you need some, yung digest, ang tinatawag ko digest, if you need some digest on social justice, social transformation that you think will be needed in writing your research, you let me know. I can give you some digest. Pag sinabi kong digest, ito ay specific segments or sections of literature that will support, for example, social justice. Why do we need social justice or why do we need social transformation? So lahat ng mga yan, I was able to extract some digest that you can use right away to cite, for example, or some ideas that you can use in your write-up. You let me know and I'll be happy to share those sa inyo when you write your article. Okay? So I guess that's all for this 2-day training. I'll give you back to Ma'am Ara for anything left for the program. It's 4 o'clock, and I guess we all deserve an early break from the from what we did in this 2-day training. So I'll give you back to Ma'am Ara. Ma'am Ara, if there's something left in the program for us. Thank you so much once again. Ay, okay. Sige po. Ako muna. So, ano po bang pwede natin gagawin? Sige po. Okay, siguro we can have, let's have some plans, no? Implementation plans or parang action plans from our end as participants of this training. How do you think or how do you plan to use what we have learned in this training in practice or in actual research or in actual project? How do you intend to use this training? Can I hear some of your plans of action? I hope that you were able to develop some action plans while we are working on this. Yung bang mga moments na sinabi natin, pwede ko itong gamitin dito. Pwede pala itong gamitin ko. Like si Ma'am Ara, kahapon sabi niya, pwede itong gamitin sa planning para sa priorities ng office. So yun, similar to that. What are your plans? What do you think or how do you think we can apply what we've learned here in your respective practices? Pwede marinig?
Ayan, sorry po. Andito na po ako ulit.
Ay,
Okay.
pwedeng dito na po natin ipapasok yun. Ma'am Ara, I was asking them how they can potentially apply or how specifically they can make use of what they learn here in actual practice. So I think that could be part of the insights.
Yes, sir. So any volunteer po who would like to share?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello
Hello,
po.
Doc.
Ay, sige
Hello,
po.
sir.
Ayan, ito po si
Ay,
Sir Dan.
Hana. Sige po, Sir Dan po. Ano, no?
Ay, sorry.
Una na po ako, Doc Ara. Sorry po.
Sige po, sir.
Sige po. First of all po, narinig po ako, Doc Ara. Hello po.
Yes, Sir Dan.
Okay po,
Audible
yes
po.
po.
Yes, sir. Naririnig po.
Okay po. First of all po, my grateful appreciation to the Gender and Development Office in coordination with the R&D unit for pulling off this kind of webinar, which really positively disturbed me personally. And I appreciate the kind of this kind of capacity enhancement activity, which really geared towards updating as faculty researchers with the trends and issues, especially with the conduct of qualitative researches. To our subject matter expert, I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank you, sir, for selflessly sharing your technical and research expertise for the past 2 days. Uh, Actually, I only read and cite the works of Sir Jovi, and it feels surreal to get to listen to him personally and get uh, to learn more and be inspired in how he actually conduct a qualitative research. So I also would like to answer the question of Sir Jovi in terms of what's next or what are the future directions. In my part as a faculty researcher, I think the tools, the technology shared by Sir Jovi really helped us to better utilize these technologies in managing our large corpus of data as well as analyzing the very extensive qualitative data that we have. And also, I appreciate the critical transformative research paradigm, which we intend to use in our future research undertakings. And I appreciate the data visualizations as well as the rigorous process of doing literature review. So what's next will be hopefully we can publish literature review articles and do bibliometric studies, sir. So marami pong salamat, sir, and it's really a prolific and really an insightful webinar. Thank you po.
Thank you very much po,
Very
Sir
much
Dan.
po. Sir Dan, thank you very much.
So we have Sir Gerald po ulit, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Doc. Ayun po, parehas lang po kay Sir Dan. Napakalaking pasalamat po kay Sir dito. Dahil dito sa training na to, actually na-appreciate ko po dito ng sobra kung paano yung technical na approach niya, kung paano tayo tinuruan na i-develop ang ating mga proposal. So kumbaga po ako, talagang hindi naman po ako nabibilang sa mga nag-aaral lang tungkol sa ating mga kapatid na na indigenous people, pero with yung sa technical na guidance po nitong ating sa webinar, sa training na ito, na nakita po natin kung paano tayo mga university researchers ay mako-contribute sa isang topic na hindi talaga natin kumbaga area. Kaya napakalaking tulong nito, lalo na ang university po natin ay composed ng 7 campuses, na ang 7 campuses na to ay may sari-sariling flagship. Sa tingin ko po, in practice, magagamit natin itong itinuro ni Sir Anito sa ating mga fields mismo. Tulad sa amin dito sa Candelaria, na since ang focus po namin, ang flagship program dito ay fisheries, ito pong itinuro niya ngayong araw, or nitong dalawang magkasunod na araw, ay pwede ko pong magamit kung paano ko tutulungan ang mga colleagues dito na i-develop po ang aming literature review, same as kung paano po kami magde-develop ng aming proposal. Yun po, at maraming salamat din po sa GAD at sa ating research po. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much po, Sir Gerald from Candelaria Campus. So, Ma'am Ara, meron po ba tayong kasama na magbibigay po ng kanyang insights? How about...
Okay, thank you very much po, sir.
How about Ma'am Melissa? Melissa?
Good afternoon po ulit.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Favorite mo ako, Sir Angel.
Happy birthday, Ma'am Melissa.
Ah, so, una po, nagpapasalamat ako sa ating resource speaker, kay Sir Vito, and sa GAD Office po and Research and Development Office po for initiating this webinar. No? Bagamat po mula kahapon ay talagang uh, information overload, but sa tingin ko po marami pong na-retain na mga information na iyon na-share po sa atin ng ating resource speaker, na makakatulong po sa amin po dito sa kolehiyo at saka sa cluster namin sa Engineering Information, Industrial and Information Technology po. No? Sa tingin ko po, napakalaking tulong ng mga tools na shinare po ni um, Prof. Jovito, magmula po kahapon yung sa problem tree hanggang sa pagbuo ng logical framework at yung mga tools po for sa paggamit po ng mga free po na app like yung um, Orange po, no, para po makabuo tayo ng from the proposal at gayon din po ay nawa pati publications ano po. And bukod po dun sa mga research works, sa tingin ko po magagamit din po ito management wise dito sa ating offices, and para sa ating planning at mga ganong stuff. Yun lang po, maraming salamat po muli.
Thank you very much po, Ma'am Melissa. Ma'am Eden? Ayan po, si Ma'am Eden. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, good afternoon po. Good afternoon, everyone. I
Good
would
afternoon,
just like
ma'am.
to, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would just like to express my appreciation and pride for our GAD director and of course the research office leaders, our leaders of the university, and my thanks to our expert talagang, and of course our co-participants. I am just happy to be part again of activity like this. In fact, matagal ko nang maraming ginagawa yung GAD at saka yung research office na capability building, but this one is so unique and so uh, energizing. I'm if I may use that word, no. Um, ang daming mga learnings from the two-day activity na sabi ko, uwi na ako sa bahay kasi ang pangit ng connection sa campus kahit na merong instruction sa atin na to stay there, pero sabi ko I have to really get the most out of this training, so I really appreciate po the power of our speaker in sharing his knowledge and all those, parang nakita ko sa speaker natin, binuhos talaga niya lahat for us. So I am very thankful for having had the opportunity to take part in this activity. Na 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 amuse ako and na amaze ako dun sa facility ng using the apps. And sabi ko, na-overwhelm kasi ako lately kasi ang daming data, I'm engaging in research at ang dami kong data na kailangan kong i-manage, and then we have this training. Parang such a relief for me to be parang ano ba to? This is help from from the institution and from our expert, of course. Yung yung output ng IP group, na-appreciate ko talaga. Hindi ko na-share kanina, but I appreciate na now it makes sense. Even the word mom there, it shouldn't be taken out. Kasi, di ba, sabi ko, what is the connection between the gender problems in the community and the environmental problems? They are all connected. And in that output that we had in our workshop, nakita ko yung yung beautiful story about what the university is doing, yung extension office, yung research office, at saka yung gender office. So, maraming salamat po sa lahat, and of course, our experts. Thank you very much, Sir Jovit. God bless you po.
Thank you very much, Doc Eden. I think we have Sir Joshua for another insight, sharing of insight. Sir Joshua?
Hello, good afternoon po. Of course, I would like to express my gratitude sa ating university and sa ating resources speaker sa pag-share ng kanyang expertise, and I really appreciate this training. It harmonized the human limited knowledge and the opportunity of technology in terms of research that will positively give impact to the academe and society. Sir Hubito, Jubito, daghang salamat kaayo sa inyong gitudlo sa among tanan o kabalo ng atong amahan langit nun na naamo diha nagpamat